I am not an African American. I'm an American. I am a black American. I am definitely black. And yes, my ancestors come from Africa. How long does a bloodline have to live in one land before they are considered a pure species of that land? Meaning, how long did my people have to be in America to say, hey, no, we're American, compared to some people who are English American, who are Irish American, who are German American from their ancestors, but they get to call themselves American. There's nothing wrong with being African American, but a true African American is someone that is from Africa and moved here, either first generation or second generation, and has a tie to that country that I do not have. One of the first census in Virginia that allowed for black people to have a name was somebody from my family. So that means they were there long before. I think there comes a point where when you build a country, when you fight for freedom, make money and pay taxes and generationally live in a country.
Black American people need to stop identifying as African American. Yeah, I said it. We are not African. That is the problem. That is why Africans feel so comfortable coming in and infiltrating black spaces like Essence Fest, because they think we all one and the same, one band, one sound. No, 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 no. We are natural born American citizens. We've been here for 4 or 5 centuries, 400 years plus, and we still not identifying as Americans. We're not Africans. That's why they come over here and they feel so comfortable with disrespecting us, because they think they super Africans, right? And we the little peon Africans because they got the direct source of the motherland and they know where they come from and they roots and all that stuff. Of course you do. One generation ago, you got here yesterday. You are the true African American Africans. Y'all come here from Ghana, from Senegal, from wherever, Ethiopia, whatever. Y'all come here and you get your citizenship or plant your roots, whatever. You're Africans - Americans, African Americans. Black Americans are not Africans. I don't have no Africans in my family. Period. I'm from California. My dad is from California. My grandma's from Wichita, Kansas. My great grandma's from Wichita, Kansas. I can go back generations of Americans. That is where the confusion is coming from. And then people come from different countries and they come in our home, our house. This is our house. Yeah, the other half of our house might try to make us uncomfortable. The whites, they want to make us uncomfortable in our house. We all share in the same house. But at the end of the day, this is still our house. The visitors are coming here and treating us like we less than. We can change the narrative. It's our storyline. We keep letting other people write our storyline and then getting mad at the story. There's too many of us to not be creating our own narrative. Let's change the narrative, okay? Take back the pride in what it means to be a black American. Start highlighting our successes as a group of people, our successes, our contributions to America as a whole. Highlight that instead of hyper fixating on slavery. Let's let that storyline kind of simmer down a little bit and focus on the inventions and the contributions that black people make today and have made for the past 4 or 5 centuries while we've been in America, and start to elevate as a people. Stop letting people push us down with their own narratives and start writing our own story to elevate us as a people in our home. This is our house, not theirs. This is our home. We are natural born American citizens, and don't let nobody tell you different.
Black people and Africans don't even look the same. I mean, look at Black Americans and then look at people from West Africa. You can clearly see that we're different. We don't look the same. So I can understand why Black people have no need to connect to Africa. This is totally false. So many of us have a very generalized view of looking at African culture. This is why we say things like Africans sold other Africans, because what we do not acknowledge the various cultures that existed for hundreds, thousands of years on the continent of Africa, but we show that same degree of respect to cultures in Western Europe. So we'll be quick to discern between a Viking or Visigoth and a Roman, or a person on the British Isles and the people of Gaul, or the Vandals of the ancient Iberian Peninsula, or the Greeks, etc. Although phenotypically you could just say they look the same if you want to buy into the concept of race. But we acknowledge the difference in culture, but it seems like we don't extend that to West Africa. Like, we wouldn't be willing to look at a person that's Mende and discern between them and a Wolof. We won't look at a person that is Fonte and discern between them and somebody that's Igbo. We won't look at somebody that's Hausa and discern between them and maybe a hunter-gatherer like, the Hadza people. We're just looking at it black and phenotype. And even with phenotype, we get it wrong, because if you look at people like the Nuer of Sudan, their phenotype is definitely different from the people of Aswan in Egypt, versus the people in Uganda, versus a lot of the groups in Uganda, excuse me. So there's a lot of difference in phenotype. Africa has a polytypic phenotype, just like many Black Americans are going to look vastly different from one another. So it's something that we have to question, because I think when we say Black people don't look like Africans, we kind of buy into a racist narrative of just there's a generic African phenotype when there isn't one. It doesn't exist. Prior to colonialism, any of these events, there was a myriad of phenotypes on the continent. So it's hard to say when you say Black people don't look like Africans, like, what do you mean by that? And also it can open the door for a lot of crazy, wonky theories like people are Israelites or indigenous, but that's a whole different conversation. So Africans have a polytypic phenotype. Black people have a polytypic phenotype. We're not a monolith. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Peace.
These clips actually gave me a lesson to attend, and I am right here for it. Growing up as a child, no one would even debate with me about this. Like, I saw it as an obvious thing. Like, Black American and African American meant the same thing. But when I came across these clips, I had to pause and I was like, wait a moment. Was I missing something all this while? And then I was like, okay, I think there is more to this. And that's why I had to get as many clips as possible, because some of them are saying that their ancestors built the US, which means the Americans. The other party is saying that Africa is in their DNA and no one should try to erase it. For a moment, my head almost burst. So I am not here to define anyone's identity or tell anyone where exactly they belong. And my intention here is pure. I'm not here to intrude, but to learn, reflect, and grow, because I believe conversations like this, when handled with care, it can build bridges, not the walls. And I am open to hear your opinion in the comments. Anyway, let's roll the clips.
So if y'all gonna call us African Americans, then make sure you call the Haitians African Haitians. Make sure you call the Jamaicans African Jamaicans. Because why are we the only members of the diaspora associated with Africa? Let's talk about it. Prior to Jesse Jackson in the 1980s, Black Americans had no association with Africa. In fact, no Black American wanted to be called African American. There was a huge pushback against that because there was no association with Africa prior to that. And that's only 40 years ago. It's not a long time ago. Prior to that, we were Negroes and we were Black. Africans don't care about Caribbeans not being called African because Caribbeans aren't popping like us. We are Africans, and Caribbeans' only claim to fame. We were never African. Get over it.
As of late, I've been seeing a lot of videos of African Americans, like my people, saying that they're not from Africa, right? They shouldn't be called African Americans. They should just be called Americans. They just want to completely erase all social, historical, cultural ties to Africa. They want to strictly be seen as Americans because this is where their ancestors were, or maybe a couple generations of their people were at. The last part of that may be true. Reality is, Homo sapiens originated from Africa, right? Meaning that for hundreds of thousands of years, our ancestors were in Africa, right? And the people who were stolen from the motherland through the transatlantic slave trade, through all the horrific crimes and things that the Europeans did to bring us here, did not want to be put on the soil. They did not want to have to go through the heinous labor, the most harmful conditions ever seen to, like, even be here, period. Like, the dissonance and the ignorance I see within the African American community whenever it comes to knocking our brothers and sisters that are still in the motherland, it really shows the colonial mindset that's been imposed onto us by our colonizers, right? Even to this day, people would rather be seen as, I don't know, American or anything other than African because they see Africa as barbaric. Whenever in reality, Africa is not like that at all, right? And even if they are going through something over there, it's not because they wanted to, right? It's deterministically been imposed onto them due to historical development, due to colonialism, due to the Europeans also. And of course, maybe an African American, I can completely resonate with y'all individuals who do feel an extreme disconnect to the motherland due to us being stolen, right? Us not knowing our ethnic group or our tribal ties or even the haplogroup we might belong to, whatever specific niche of information you might want to gather. But regardless of what, we are still tied back to Africa, right? We came from there, right? All historical, all empirical, all evidence points back to Africa. And with that being said, we are tied together. We are tied together with all black people, with all indigenous people, due to history, due to colonialism, due to how the system has oppressed us. So with that being said, if you are African American, there is no intellectual reason as to why we should have any type of hate or vitriol towards Africa, because that's where we come from. Like, all historical, all evidence points back to that. Anybody who says otherwise is just simply ignorant and ignoring all proofs. So until all of us as African people, African Americans, everybody within the diaspora understand that we need to be unified on all fronts so we can actually dismantle and go against the true enemy of society, we will never be free, right? Because this individualistic, this mindset that, hey, I'm better than them, or they're this, or I'm that, it will only lead to more fighting, right? Divide and conquer, as they say. It's just not smart, and we have to completely move away from that. And one more thing I want to say, right? If you are African American and you love what your people have built for themselves in America, cool, so be it, right? It's mutually exclusive. You can love what your people have done here while also loving the fact that you're African American, right? That you're black, that you have coarse hair, that you're beautiful in your skin. And understand that the freeing of Africa will lead to the freeing of all black people, of all people within the diaspora around the world, right? Because that movement will be so strong that it'll be like a domino effect for all people, right? Like Kwame Ture often expressed in all his speeches, right? If Africa is strong, all black people are strong, right? If your house is broken, whenever you leave the house, you'll still be broken. But if your house is strong, if your people within the house are strong, then outside of the house should be strong, right? This is just a metaphor that he often used.
I am not an African. I am a Black American. What that means is that my entire family has come from America. I am the descendant of people that were slaves. That's what that means when I tell you that I am a Black American. That means that the people that have been in my family for generations built this country. That means that my grandfather, who served in World War II, that helped fight and defend this country, and was, by the way, denied GI Bill benefits because he was black, is a part of the history of this country. I am not Haitian. I'm not Nigerian. I am not from any of these other countries. I am a full-blooded 100% Black American. And what that means is that I will speak on Black American culture in any way that I please, but what I will also do is I will not allow for it to continue to be co-opted by Africans who come here with so many more resources than your average Black American does, try to wrap themselves up in our struggle, our oppression, our history, and try to co-opt every space that we have built for ourselves, like they've done in the destruction of the Essence Music Festival. So don't try to discount what I say and try to pretend that I'm Haitian or I'm not American or whatever. No, I'm 100% Black American.
Since we're sending out reminders, this is just a friendly reminder that Black Americans are not African. We are not African American. And I'm not saying that as a way to try to disassociate ourselves from our lineage. Yes, we have lineage that comes from the coast of West Africa. Yes, that is a part of our lineage. But we are not African. We are not African American. I really just wish that we would drop that part of the title, because it does not describe in full like really who and what we are. And it also confuses people about our Americanness, and it makes them feel like we are immigrants like the other people that come over here. We're not immigrants. I saw this TikTok from this guy from West Africa. He's like he's living in the United States, and he's like, if I get tired of this place, if I get tired of this country, I can just go home. You guys can't do that. You guys can't go home. Honey, we are home. America is our home. We were born and bred here. There is no other place. There is no other country. It's just here. And this is what I'm saying. We are not immigrants. So that's why just a friendly reminder.
Hello. Some of y'all are not gonna like my video, and that's all right. We all are entitled to our opinion. So this video is for dumb, immature Black America. Let me say that again. Dumb, immature Black America. Because some Black America is really awake, and some is still immature. And before I began, growing up, I was bullied by a Black American. Yes, I was born American, but you never really hear me talk about the American side. You always hear me talk about my roots. The more I became awake, connected to my ancestors, and learned my DNA, woo, and it helped me understand myself better. So, I've been seeing so many TikTok videos related to the festival in New Orleans. And I'm gonna be honest with you guys, it really hurt my feelings to see how some of y'all behaving. Some of y'all very mature. I've been to so many events, African, Jamaican, Trinidad, you know, any West Indian you can think of. They never make me feel like that. They always make me feel included. So, some immature Black America, why do you feel like you need to separate yourself? I really want to hear your opinion. I really do. Because we all look the same. They see color first. Why continue to separate yourself? Why? Because even your race is stay African. Let me say, it stay African first. So some of y'all need to really wake up. Some of y'all might be from Liberia. Did you know that America was colonized by Liberia? America colonized Liberia. Do you know that? So I just think some of y'all just really need to research, evaluate yourself, and know who the fuck you are, because you're really disappointing the ancestors right now. And you just need to stop with the nationality. It doesn't matter you have different background, different actor, or different actor. Like I said, at the end of the day, they see color first. We really need to move forward, empower each other, uplift each other. We really do. I have seen so many races. They have their own problem, but they know how to get their together. They do. We the only ones still struggling to move forward with that shit. Why is that? I'm ready to hear some opinion.
I'm an African American. I'm the only person in the world who's had issues or who's faced discrimination. No, you're not. American Black people are not the only people who've gone through hardship in this world. The same way slavery or the history of America has an impact on Black people, history itself still impacts Black people across the world today. And that's what a lot of you don't seem to understand. Your great-granddad or your granddad was a slave. Fair enough, innit? But so many African nations are still being affected by the West today. Look at Congo. As a clear example, it doesn't have to be slavery in your face for it to still be slavery in your face. Do you know where the resources in your iPhones come from? Congo. Them man are still going through it right now. I'm an African American. I'm the only person in the world who's had issues or who's faced discrimination. No, you're not. I'm an African American. All these people are stealing our culture. It's not really you. It's because of the country where you're from has this real big impact on media. So yes, a lot of us in the world, white, black, blue, pink, grew up on American culture. Not specifically black, but hip hop is cool. Hip hop is dominant. Athletes are cool. Like any child and every young person in the world, you look up to people you can identify with. So if you see a Michael Jordan, a Tupac, a Biggie, a Jay-Z, you're going to admire them and you might adopt elements of their culture. It's not rocket science. It's not that deep. You're not the only Black people who have to navigate being a minority in another part of the world. So relax.
African men have no swag. They're known for not having swag. Let's talk about it. When people refer to BBC, they're normally talking about Black Americans. Women aren't flocking to Africa to get men, but women come to Black Americans all the time. In fact, Black American men get the most amount of women. How could we come from Africa when we got more swag than them? If we came from Africa, then they'd have an equal amount of swag as us, but they don't. I never see anybody wearing a kente cloth. I never see anybody mimicking their dressing style. I never see any women talking about African men. They only talk about Black American men. They talk about rappers. They talk about Michael Jackson, James Brown. Who's talking about African men? So how do we come from Africa?
This is a genuine question that I might get some ish for, but hear me out. People often refer to Black people in America as African, or they'll say we're all from Africa. But what African nation, country, tribe has ever claimed us to be their own? Acknowledged us, said those are our people, or even acknowledged that we were a rival tribe that got sent away. Like, I understand that it was a very different time period and communication was different, documenting things was different, but genuinely, knowing that I am not that far removed from American slavery in my bloodline, and knowing that history has documented events that occurred well before the transatlantic slave trade, I genuinely would like to know the answer. Why hasn't any African nation or tribe said, those people in America are ours?
You know what? I find it very, very interesting how so many black people in this day and age are saying that, hey, we're not black people. We're not African. We are indigenous to this land. I find that very, very odd because I'm trying to understand this whole movement as far as, hey, I don't want to be looked at as African. I'm not from there. I was born here in America. We were always here. And I never understood that. I've had people told me that I'm delusional and that, I'm not from Africa. My family's not from Africa. We've always been here, so and so, blah, blah, blah. I even saw a comment where someone said that 85% of the black people in America are indigenous to this land. Very interesting, right? Well, I did my family history, and I've been doing it since 2013. And so it's been, 12 years that I've been doing my family history. And I've never run across anything that suggests that my family were always here. Everything that I've ran across always suggested my family came from Africa. I even have cousins within my DNA match list who are in Africa, who live in Africa. That means that we are closely related, basically. If they're in your DNA match list, that means that you're either related a little, further down the line, or, they're close, you're closely related to that person. But either way, if you have African ancestry within your DNA match list, all of your cousins and stuff like that, that means that you guys share a common ancestor within the last maybe 300 years, depending on how far back they are, within the last 300 years. So that means that you're African. You have family that have come from Africa, and I have those all over my DNA match list. A lot of people from Africa who I've actually got in contact with, and their family, basically they're saying that, well, they don't have any family that's in America, so that's a telltale, basically saying that, hey, you actually do have some African ancestry within you. And I've spoke to plenty of people. I've done my grandmother's research. I've done my mom's research, my father's research. All of them lead back to Africa. Me, myself, I might look like, that I'm kind of mixed with, some stuff, which I think, mostly, most Black Americans are mixed around and stuff like that. But some of us have a higher African DNA percentage than others. Mine, I've took my DNA test on numerous sites. All of my DNA tests come back that I'm 90% African, which is way higher than average, because the average in America for the Black American, the average percentage that a Black American has of African DNA is 72.3%. Me, I'm at 90. My mom, she's just as light as I am. She's at 95. My grandmother, she's just as light as I am. She's at 97% African, So our percentage of African is like way higher than normal, and a lot of people who think that they have Native American within their DNA, and their families told them, hey, yeah, we're Cherokee, we're Blackfoot, we are, Seminole or whatever. A lot of people who actually say that, well, my grandparents told me this, my great grandmother told me that, blah, blah. Everyone has that in their family, because it was the same thing in my family, that they told us, like, yeah, we have Native American in our family. Why? I'm thinking it's because, some people might have had the long, wavy hair. Well, Africans can have that too, stories passed down or whatever. But also what people don't understand is that when you have these records, okay, you have these records, you even have the Dawes rolls and everything. You have a lot of people out there who actually put their name on those records so they can receive free benefits. The Dawes rolls are basically the list back, way back when, saying that, hey, I'm Native American, and they put their information. It was a lot of white people that put themselves up there. It was some black people that put themselves up there and everything. There were also people back in those days who all the slaves who actually ran away, and they found settlement within the Native American population, and they eventually became the citizens of that that nation, and some people will use that as saying that, well, I have pictures of, my grandparents or my great-great-grandparents in Native American garbs. That's proof that we're Native American. No, just like I said before, a lot of them either married into that population or they ran away and they sought refuge in those populations, and and that's just how it was. And eventually they said that they were Native American. A lot of people claimed to be Native American. Why? They didn't want to be identified with the black population, because to be identified with the black population was not a good thing back in those days. So a lot of people got their stories from that, and it's been handed down that, hey, yeah, we're Native American, blah, blah, blah. When the actual truth is that you're not Native American, but you just have those stories that's saying that, hey, we are, although it's just that, some of that stuff just, happened back then or whatever. But yeah, a lot of people, black people, we are not, most of us have not been here before the transatlantic slave trade. Some people have. And even with those people, they're also African as well, because, they sailed over here before that. So we got to stop this we are indigenous people and we've always been here type of stuff. And if people want to bring up some past history on that, I know there was an explorer back in the 1500s, and he came here and he wrote down what he saw. And some people misinterpret what he says, because he says that, he's seen some people with dark skin. But the thing is that he said, I see the people with dark skin not like the Ethiopians, which were the Africans. He was like, they're not like the Ethiopians, but they just have dark skin. People will interpret that as saying, hey, see, he's saying that there's already black people here. No, he just said that they had dark skin, but they were unlike the Ethiopians. Okay? So, or the Africans. But yeah, we really gotta wake up and actually do our research and study this stuff, and not think that every single name that we might see on the Indian list, oh, that's my family member, because it's not. A lot of people had a lot of common names back then. Okay? A lot of common names. So I continue to do my research. When I find something, I research it and read. I dig and dig and dig and dig to make sure that I know that this is the correct person that's within my family. This is the correct documentation that has to do with my family. I've seen so many times on other people's DNA lists, and sometimes I've messaged them about it and told them like, hey, that's not correct. This is actually what it is. A lot of times they'll change it, and sometimes they just, ignored it. But I was like, yeah, that's not the, this is the correct person. And I say that because they're a part of my family, for one, my distant cousin, and I knew that line that they have on their tree. They just came to an incorrect conclusion of it. So it does happen a lot, quite often. People find the wrong information for their family, and it's attached to the wrong thing. But yeah, we gotta wake up, y'all. Seriously. And I know this video is long as hell, but seriously, black people, come on now. We African.
Like I said before, I used to think that the term Black American and African American actually meant the same thing. But this video today is actually an eye-opener for me, and I believe for many others out there, because I'm so sure that I'm not the only one who used to think this way. So I went ahead and started researching about this, but I told myself, like, this research might not be enough. I had to put this video out there for you to also watch it and tell me more about your history. Because like I said earlier, I told you that I'm here to learn, reflect, as well as grow. So I'm going to read to you what I actually got during my search. So my first question that I was searching for, from the moment I actually saw those videos, was, where was that term of Black America an African American from? Here is what my research told me, that this debate is not new. It goes back generations. In the 1960s, during the civil rights and Black Power movements, people started moving away from terms like Negro or colored, and many started saying Black with pride. Then, in the 1980s, Jesse Jackson popularized African American as a term to affirm that Black people in the US had a rich history, like Irish Americans or Italian Americans. It was about reclaiming dignity, not just naming a race. I hope you have got that part. It didn't stop there. So, fast forward to today, and not everyone agrees. This was actually my second question that I was going to also make research about, but I was also glad that the answer came before I could ask it. So, let's read. Some Black Americans, especially those whose families have been in the US for hundreds of years, feel like African American doesn't describe them accurately. Some call themselves foundational Black Americans or African descendants of slavery to highlight their specific legacy. Others feel that calling themselves just Black reflects both their experience and their resistance. So this was the label behind this Black American and this African American terms. You can't tell someone to go back to Africa, yet they have never been there. Their ancestor built America. So I also gave an example. Like, one person was saying that you are telling me to go back to Africa. Africa has never claimed me. My ancestors built this country. And this is the answer I got. You know what? That makes sense. When your great-great-great-grandparents were forced here in chains, and then you grow up being told you are still not American enough, I can see why someone might drop the African part. It's not hate, it's pain, power, and a way of saying this country owes me recognition, not removal. And it continued by saying there is also this sense of being disconnected. A lot of Black Americans don't know where in Africa their ancestors are from. They were not allowed to keep their language, their names, or even their tribes. So for some, African American feels like a guess, or worse, a reminder of everything stolen. So it started to make sense to me, because I told you from the beginning when I came across these clips, I was like, my mind was already zigzag. So I went as far as asking again, how about those who are accepting that they are Africans? And this is the answer. People who embrace African American often want to stay connected to the global Black diaspora. They want to remember that before chains, there were kingdoms. Before pain, there was power. And so, while some reject the term out of disconnection and defiance, others embrace it for healing and honor. So after watching all this, plus my research, I got to realize that identity is not a one all-size fit-in thing, especially not for the people whose identity has been shaped by centuries of violence, resilience, and survival. Whether you agree that you are an American or African, both are true and powerful, and neither one should cancel the other out. So yeah, I respect your culture, your identity, and everything which has to do with it. So to anyone watching this, whether you're Black, African, Caribbean, or even out of the race, I want you to understand that this is not a fight for words. It's actually about identity, pride, history, and healing. So yes, I am humbled, and I will also be grateful to hear your opinion in the comments, because I said it that I am here to learn. And if you have anything to add onto the video, kindly drop it in the comments and let's learn together. Anyway, thank you for watching, and let's meet in my next one. Bye-bye. I love you.